Let's see what Shirley says. In the loss of your loved one, so special, so loved, so warmly remembered. Look at This one's nice, from somebody I don't know in North Carolina. She writes, although I did not know Brian, I wanted you to know his death did not go unnoticed. You have my heartfelt sympathy for your loss. I am deeply grateful for law enforcement officers who put their lives on the line every day in service of others. Brian is a true hero. Susan Powers. I just wish I could tell the whole world about Brian. He was so unique. You don't find many people like him. Everyone just loved him. People gravitated towards him. He just lit up a room when he walked in.
We went to Riverhead High School together, and there's a lot of times and a lot of memories at his house in Jamesport where he grew up. He was the glue amongst all our friends. He could talk to anybody. He was just that very outgoing.
He actually taught me how to ride a bike, which was pretty awesome. We were always together, whether playing sports or just fishing, and that kept on as long as we were together. Brian had a larger-than-life personality. He made everybody feel welcome.
I think helping people, it was something Brian always did. He was my world. He got me through the loss of my daughter and my husband. He was 16 when his dad died, and 15 when his sister and dad were 6 months apart. We were very close. Yes, he always protected me. He always called.
After losing Brian, I actually apologized to her. I'm like, I never gave she and Brian enough credit of what they went through, because I've never experienced such a loss like that, and until I lost Brian.
I don't know how he did it, but it was pretty amazing. He said facing all that and turning out the way he did. He was, an amazing friend, cousin. Then he wound up to be an excellent athlete, played college baseball. He was great at that. Unbelievable police officer, and then a well-respected detective. It's all amazing accomplishments for what he faced at a young age.
He came up to my job at 1 o'clock in the morning. I used to work 11 to 7, and he came up at 1 o'clock in the morning to tell me he got into the police academy in New York. So I gave him a hug, and he said, "That wasn't a genuine hug, Mom." I said, "I'm not crazy about this." But he did it, and he loved it.
I didn't think that he was ever become a police officer, but then when he went to school in Connecticut and he did an internship with the New London Police, I knew right away. I mean, he told me, he was like, I love what I do. I love doing this kind of work, and then eventually he became, an NYPD officer.
He was a detective in the 102 precinct in Queens. I believe he was a detective almost 12 years now.
He was mainly on the robbery team in the detective squad. Brian was good at his job. He was very smart. He was the guy so many guys went to for help.
He loved, protecting Queens and the families of Queens. He really loved his job. Some people don't like a job. He loved his job. And he loved going. He traveled 60 miles plus a day, one way. And he said, "Oh, it's too far." He never complained about it. Just got in the car and went and did what he needed to do.
My dad was a Chicago cop for 36 years, and so I knew what cop life was like. It never fazed me that Brian was a cop. I actually didn't worry about Brian at all, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like, did I jinx that?
If an officer got shot, I would call him and he would answer and he'd go, okay, Mom, I'm fine. And unfortunately that night he didn't answer me when I heard about it. And I thought, okay, maybe he's, working the case or he'll call.
He had a union meeting that morning, but he was planning on going for a snowmobile trip the following weekend. And so he wanted to get some hours in because he was taking a day off.
The call came in that fit a pattern that they were doing. He goes, they said, "Now you go home." He said, "No, it's part of us." He went. He jumped in the car and went on his day off. That just shows the dedication he had to his job.
My neighbor came running over telling me that Brian had been shot. Her husband works on Shelter Island as a cop, and so he was coming to get me in his squad car to take me to Jamaica Hospital.
I got a phone call from a buddy looking for Mike, his best friend, and we couldn't get in touch with him, and he said, there might be something, wrong, and it was devastating. We kept on saying, it's not true, it's not true, it's not gonna happen.
I was actually in the Dominican Republic. I was on vacation, and I didn't turn my phone on every day. Every other day I checked it, and then I tried to get on my phone and look. I couldn't even see them because they were coming in so fast. I couldn't even read and everybody said, "Mike, call me. Mike, where you at? You need to call me."
We were not even a mile away from my home when Terry picked me up, and I just looked at Terry and asked him, I'm like, "He's gonna be all right, right?" And that's what he told me. A moment I'll never forget. Worst night of my life.
We never wanted his memories or his life to go forgotten.
Between NYPD and Riverhead and now our foundation, so many people have kept his memory alive, and that's what I've always said from day one. I'm like, I just don't ever want him forgotten, and people are proving to me he will never be forgotten.